obviously there must be some subsequent actions. And I want to also, this is one matter that I really hope we can put to permanent closure, Mr. Speaker. Yes, I thought he tabled the report on a dossier that he was given, that was passed to him through the American embassy. What normally happens is that when you table or pass a dossier, it is investigated, I believe. It is worked on. So that happened. The late Honorable Saitoti, he came back to Parliament and tabled a report of investigation and the outcome that clearly stated that no iota of evidence was found against me.
A confident Joho insisting that he is only involved in legitimate business.
Please, Kenyans, I want to assure you here today that I do clean business that can be audited, can be seen, physical, and therefore, please, Mr. Speaker, if anybody talks about a report that was tabled on the dossier, also talk about the report that came after that, that cleared us.
Mimi, I don't even dream of engaging with them. Ati huyu akitaka aje ongee sio na mimi niongee na Ruto nini? Mimi nikamtafute atanipa nini? Wilbaro.
His past utterances almost came back to haunt him before Speaker Moses Wetangula came to his rescue.
Honorable Naisula told me nitaongea na.
You don't have to answer that. Only fools don't change their minds.
I was going to say it in Kiswahili.
Go on and answer the other question.
If approved by the National Assembly, Joho promised to take on cartels in the sector and prioritize the payment of royalties.
If you approve me, that is where I begin. Remove the cartels, remove the brokers. Mining industry in Kenya cannot be a market of speculators. There are people doing prospecting for 40 years. How that makes sense, I have no idea. Whether it happens anywhere in the world, certainly it cannot be.
Joho further hinted at redesigning the training program if approved to ensure the employment of more Kenyans locally and abroad in the maritime sector.
The global demand on seafarers is almost at 1.9 million. We in Kenya are contributing barely 0.2%. So out of, basically what I'm saying is out of the 1.9 million, we have just about 4,000 Kenyans that are getting into the industry by way of employment. Now, what are we going to do to change that? Number one, we must redesign our training program to fit into the demand of that opportunity.
Unlike his counterparts, Joho was not shy to affirm that he belongs to the billionaires club.
My net worth is 2,361,332,249.
Ian Keitani for Sunday Review.
At the same time, Alfred Mutua, nominated for the position of Cabinet Secretary for Labour and Social Protection, has pledged to significantly enhance labour migration and attract international companies to Kenya in his efforts to address the country's high unemployment rates. Mutua proposed reforms including expanding labour migration to between 5,000 to 10,000 workers per week and fostering a conducive environment for job creation across various sectors. This comes even as he defended his alleged linkage with drug recruitment agencies, as Ben Kirira reports.
Alfred Mutua.
Unemployment and unfair labor practices, both locally and internationally, could see significant improvements if Alfred Mutua is confirmed as the new Cabinet Secretary for Labour and Social Protection.
Kenyans working as domestic workers in the Middle East, and I want to focus in Saudi Arabia. We have been putting so many resolutions at the international level regarding this issue of human rights violation, but still these cases keep on happening each and every time.
Our children are going to countries where we don't really have agreements with those countries about how to operate. A bilateral labor agreement is yet to be signed between Kenya and Saudi Arabia and some of these countries. My move is to get close to 30, if not 50, bilateral labor agreements.
Mutua also plans to enhance the skills of Kenyan workers by incorporating language training into TVET programs, aiming to better prepare them for global job markets.
There's a limited number of opportunities in the country compared to the number of graduates that are coming out of our institutions every year. To make the situation worse, there is a mismatch between skills and industry needs. There is an unfair recruitment process.
Opportunities arise with languages, and one of the things that I'm going to push is for our TVETs and our skill development, so that as you learn to be an electrician, you're also learning a foreign language, German. You know, you're learning Spanish, you're learning Italian, so that by the time you're done and there's an opportunity in those foreign countries, you go and plug and play. At least you've got basic understanding of those languages.
Addressing the issue of limited job opportunities for graduates and unfair recruitment processes, Mutua emphasized the need for equitable access to government services and employment opportunities.
You should go to those foreign countries and negotiate with tech companies to allow Kenyan citizens work for them from Kenya without using VPNs and residential proxies. There are a lot of job opportunities in the tech industry, but we can't access them due to location restriction.
We need the jobs here. In as much as we also want Kenyans to go overseas, we want to have those jobs in Kenya. And so we're going to remove all the bottlenecks, and I'll have a cabinet paper to remove the bottlenecks and provide opportunities for people here.
What is it that you are likely to do that there is regional balance, ethnic balance, and a lot of youngsters will be able to get opportunity in Kenya and even overseas?
We don't want somebody to come all the way from Nyanza, where Mheshimiwa Junet comes from, to Nairobi to get an online job or to get a job in a call center. We'd like to set up call centers in every constituency.
Mutua also plans to take a proactive approach to managing industrial actions to address potential disputes before they escalate.
The unfortunate thing that has always happened in government is we wait until a labor dispute comes, we see it looming, you know, and nobody takes action until people give notice. They give 3 notices, and people go on strike and disrupt labor and productivity in the country. How do you intend to be different?
An early warning system. And I'm going to look at all the sectors and have people who are confidently can come. I keep an open door policy for those members of parliament that have even come to my office to see me. Let me know what is going on, and let our systems know, so that we can get and arrest them, as you said, early. You know, take care of this wound before it becomes problematic.
Mutua further addressed his alleged past controversies during his time as Machakos governor, particularly the equipping of county ambulances.
I bought ambulances in Machakos that cut down the time it took from a person from being taken to hospital from the half an hour to 2 hours on a boda to 1 to 2 to 3 minutes. When you call an ambulance in Machakos during my tenure, it took 3 to 5 minutes. We had one of the fastest, if not the fastest, response rate in the continent of Africa. Very successful. And it was so successful that I was even given an award in Africa as the best governor in the continent of Africa. And the ambulances are still there.
Mutua also had to defend himself from links with controversial First Choice Recruitment Agency, linked to an alleged job scam, saying he has never met with the owner.
There are clips of you introducing her to the president, and she's known and it's even come to parliament. There are petitioners from Uasin Gishu County whom she owes millions of shillings and has impoverished many young people in Uasin Gishu.
I was introducing the president to the people who are presenting. And if you watch the clip, I didn't even know her name. And she introduced herself. That was the only time that I ever met her. And after that meeting, I've never met her again. I'd even called a meeting to discuss these issues of rogue employment agencies.
So you have an undertaking that you will ensure that the people of Uasin Gishu who lost over 100 million shillings will get them, you'll investigate and get their money back?
I'll give an undertaking that I will ensure that the rule of law is applied, and if anybody has to return monies according to the rule of law, we'll make sure we follow the process so that people get their rights.
Mutua says his net worth has grown by 42 million shillings in 2 years to 462 million shillings, having been worth 420 million shillings when he was last vetted in 2022. Ben Kirera, K24, Nairobi.
Meanwhile, cooperatives and MSMEs Development Cabinet Secretary nominee Wickliffe Opara has vehemently refuted claims that he is corrupt and that the docket he has been nominated to is at risk with him at the helm. Facing Parliament's Appointments Committee, Oparanya instead has alleged that the corruption claims were political witch hunt following his involvement with ODM leader Raila Odinga. And as Milia Kisenya now reports, the once Kakamega governor and former minister for planning has vowed to set things right in the ministry through a raft of measures if approved.
Thank you, Chairman, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity.
Appearing before the National Assembly Appointments Committee, the ever-calm and collected Wickliffe Opara was ready for the task that lay ahead of him.
Against you when you served as a governor of Kakamega County.
Quenching the thirst of the vetting panel. And one after the other, the bucket list of questions to ascertain his readiness were unleashed.
What is your net worth in terms of wealth?
About 600 million.
And full of confidence, Oparanya laid out his answers bare.
600 million made out of?
Mainly is buildings and houses that I reside in.
However, the reality of what has been hitting the headlines caught up with him. The big question of his involvement in a sea of corruption.
EACC had a reservation on your nomination as a cabinet secretary, and they said they had conducted investigations on allegations of corruption, on also conflicts of interest, abuse of office and money laundering, and they did recommend to the DPP that you be prosecuted for those offenses.
But for Oparanya, it is all a political witch hunt.
The facts are not true. Nobody, and I want to say in front of the cameras, nobody has come to me to write a statement. I don't know, this prosecution is one-sided. I've never been given a chance to say my story. In August 2023, when I was in those demonstrations, I was called by someone to be told, because I was in demonstration, the EACC were looking for me. And I asked that person, what has the EACC to do with the demonstrations? I have served diligently for 10 years. I've been a minister for 5 years. We have had audit reports. This audit report, there is no report that pointed on me as being a corrupt person.
And regarding his hard stance against the Kenya Kwanza government.
In some cases, you may not agree with the boss. And when you don't agree with the boss in that aspect of the things that we believed in as on our side as Azimio, that this needs to change. If you change and think the system do not want to change, how will you survive in such a circumstances?
Unfortunately, me and you are on the same line before elections and after elections until now we are found together in this place. How will you handle Hustler Fund? It's in that ministry. What do you think you will do? And you know the way we opposed it very well, me and you, on the streets.
I think this fund, if well managed, is a fund that will take our people from poverty. The only problem through my briefing, the only problem is that this fund was launched in a hurry without proper legal structures in place.
On Friday, ACC noted that Oparanya still had an outstanding corruption case, despite the DPP having withdrawn earlier recommendations to have him prosecuted. Oparanya is accused of embezzling a sum of 1.3 billion Kenya shillings during his two-term tenure as governor of Kakamega County. He's also accused of acquiring 56 billion shillings in irregular benefits.
These investigations that EACC is talking about, are you saying here on camera on open day that you have never written any statement?
I'm saying here in the camera that I have never been called to write a statement up to this moment. So I don't know even what I'm being accused for.
Milia Kisenya, K24 TV.
Still in the same breath, rampant corruption, nepotism and inefficiency in the public sector is what Justin Muturi intends to deal with to the end if his nomination as Cabinet Secretary for Public Service and Human Capital Management is approved by the National Assembly Committee on Appointments. Appearing before the vetting committee on Sunday, the former Attorney General pledged to restore order in the sector and foster collaboration between the public and private sectors to address youth employment challenges.
Justin Muturi was the second last nominee to appear before the National Assembly Committee on Appointments during the four-day vetting exercise for the two cabinet nominees.
2002, December, I successfully defended my seat and returned back to Parliament, where I served as opposition chief whip. Then
the immediate Attorney General was compelled to clarify his plans to combat pervasive corruption in the public sector, which has consistently plagued the hiring process for job opportunities.
But if we expanded it, it means that either the government of Kenya would have young Kenyan interns being taken to various places in industry, both in the public sector and in the private sector, where their skills would be much more relevant and be much more useful. And thereafter, either it can be agreed that government will pay for continue paying their stipends, or in the alternative, those private sector players to whom the interns would be attached would be given some incentives.
Muturi disclosed his commitment in enhancing efficiency, effectiveness and diversity within the public sector. He also supported the President's announcement that public service officers who attain the age of 60 years should retire.
Something somewhere has gone wrong within the HR department, the human resource area, because it is true, Mr. Chairman, you find, I don't know members, you find that some very, very senior people in the public service, the people that deputize, and they are almost exiting the service, but the people deputizing them are so lowly placed. I think that is a mistake that must be corrected immediately.
And in dealing with the issue of unemployment caused by the youth population bulge, the former Siakago Member of Parliament emphasized that a collaboration between the public and private sectors will significantly help in tackling this challenge.
There's a lot of opaqueness. Positions are advertised. When people are long-listed, you see names, then they are short-listed, then you don't know what the processes that happen thereafter.
Muturi served as the Speaker of the National Assembly for 2 terms from 2013 to 2017 and 2017 to 2022. Further questioned why public institutions display impressive charters on their walls but fail to adhere to them.
Even in hospitals, public hospitals, very nice service charters, vision, mission. It's just like as you drive past Nyayo House. This is a corruption-free zone. I said, oh, this signboard has found is misplaced.
Even as your house.
And then others, you see, no smoking zone. Then you have to find the people who are there. So I think, Mr. Chairman, public service cuts across so many sectors.
While continuing to promote diversity in the public sector, the nominee called on the National Assembly to assist in holding accountable those who violate the Constitution and ethical standards within the sector.
Of our steps, it's into the mandate.
He clings on to hope that based on his vast experience in leadership, the committee will approve his nomination.
For the benefit of staff.
Muturi says he is now worth 801 million shillings, up from 761 million net worth when he assumed office as Attorney General in 2022. Electin Odera, K24TV.
Gender Cabinet Secretary nominee Stella Soylangat has said her experience of over 29 years has made her resilient and able to work in the Ministry of Gender. Langat, the last CS nominee to be vetted on Sunday, told the Committee on Appointments that she has built a career in public administration, working in several ministries, including the State Department of Public Service and the Labour Department, and was part of the team that set up the State Department of Gender in the year 2004.
You think you will approach the ongoing challenges in implementing the 2/3 gender principle to make it a reality for the women of Kenya? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, and honourable member. The items on 2/3 gender rule are actually envisaged by our constitution. There is need for the government to come up with legislation to facilitate and operationalize what is provided under the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, sir, the particular item that we are discussing on the 2/3 gender rule is a big challenge, and the State Department in which I have nominated have come up with initiatives, and as we are sitting in this room, Mr. Speaker, sir, I am aware that there are initiatives under the Gender Inequality Commissions and proposals to initiate issues on amendment of the Constitution.
Madam Nominee, and given the persistent nature of social cultural norms that perpetuate harmful practices, such as FGM, forced marriage, and child marriage, what specific strategies and policies do you propose to challenge and dismantle these discriminatory practices? Additionally, how do you plan to engage with community leaders and stakeholders to foster cultural change, ensure protection and empowerment of women and girls, and support them in overcoming barriers to economic participation?
Most of the communities where FGM and early marriages are rampant are communities where the poverty index is very high, and girls are actually considered as an investment. So, Honorable Speaker, to address the issue of FGM and early marriages, we need to address poverty in our communities by empowering men and women, and more especially the men, because for a successful girl to progress and grow to be a person to be dependent on by a society, it takes a man. I'm a daughter, Mr. Speaker, of a mechanic, and I can assure you, Mr. Speaker, without the support of a father, a male figure in a family, women cannot do much in terms of empowerment. Honorable Speaker, I beg to answer the questions from the question of the UNESCO historical sites, which was asked by one of the honorable members. And I want to report that the Republic of Kenya was privileged to be part of the countries whose one site was approved by the UNESCO in the 2024. That is the Kedi ruins as historical sites under preservation and maintenance by the UNESCO, under the UNESCO protocol. So I wanted to just add also on issues of performing artists. Performing artists in the Republic of Kenya are actually assisted through the Kenya Cultural Center, where we have the National Theatre with a comprehensive setup of other facilities which are assisting our performing artists to be able to exploit their talents and develop them and be able to have a gainful, they are able to participate in the economic field where they are able to exhibit, they are able to perform locally and internationally.
Well, that's how Sunday was like as far as the CS nominees vetting exercise in Parliament was concerned. And so 2 more nominees will be vetted, that is ESC and as well the Attorney General. But at the moment, of course, the committee is preparing a report that will be tabled in Parliament, either confirming all of them or some of them. But on Friday, the 2 will be vetted. With that story, we take a short commercial break. When we come back, we'll be reviewing what is in our dailies this morning with my key guest in studio, that is Josephine Wanjiro. She is a youth and gender activist, and as well Professor Fred Ogola, an economic and governance expert. Also set to join us shortly is Honorable David Kiplagat, who is the Soy Member of Parliament. Keep the conversation going via social media platforms at K24TV, at Joel Church, as well on our SMS and WhatsApp numbers on the bottom of your screens. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.